listening, continued with reading part, and then after that you're going to work on writing part, and then the last one is going to be speaking part. For listening part, the time is going to be 30 minutes or half an hour, very short time, and you have to answer 40 questions. But they already calculated this one so that you will be able to finish it within 30 minutes. And our focus today is going to be this one. Okay, so these are the types of questions for reading parts of IELTS: multiple choice questions, sentence completion, summary completion, matching features, and matching headings. So based on what we have learned last time, reading part, because we have to read it, and the reading is a long paragraph, so you are given double the time of the listening part. Same amount of questions, but longer time, which is an hour, 60 minutes. For some of you who have already tried Suliet in Unsri or maybe TOEFL test, you might already know the reading part of TOEFL, but they are not on the same level with IELTS, because in TOEFL you will have reading which is only going to be maximum of 3 paragraphs, but in IELTS you're going to see readings with around 12 to 15 paragraphs. So there are long paragraphs there that you see, okay? Why I'm saying you see? Because you are not supposed to read all of them. You're not supposed to read every single words in the readings, because there will be not enough time for you to do that. You're going to find out how to answer this without reading all of the questions soon after this one. Okay, so this is going to be our focus for today. Right? First of all, there are going to be 2 IELTS tests available: IELTS Academic and IELTS General Training. Okay, so like I told you before, you are going to do IELTS Academic test, not General Training. This one is specifically given to people who are going to work abroad instead of studying. So most people are going to do IELTS Academic, which is what we're going to do today. Okay, let's break down the kind of readings that you're going to have in IELTS reading test. There are going to be 3 different titles of readings, or in this part we're going to call it passage. Okay, so first reading, second reading, third reading. All of them are of different topics, and they are going to be about different concentration. I mean, if you are actually currently studying about health, it is not guaranteed that you are going to have readings in IELTS specifically about health only. So maybe if you are studying in FKM, you are going to get readings about history maybe, and you will get a reading about art. So it's random kind of readings. Also, how they divide the questions. So usually on first reading, you're gonna have 13 amount of questions. Second reading is going to be 13, and the third reading is going to be 14 questions. If you total this, it's not going to be 40 exactly, but this is just estimation. Okay, so it can be around 13. That's what they mean with this ones. So it's going to be around 13 to 15 maybe. This one's going to be the same, and same with this. And in total is going to be 40 questions overall. Next, we're going to go with the text types, the type of the readings that you are going to have. The text may be from books, journals, magazines, newspapers, or websites, and they are suitable for reading by undergraduate and postgraduate students. Okay, so the reading is going to suit your level. Right now, you are in the undergraduate level, and you will be able to understand these readings because of that. And they are of general interest, not only for subject specialists. So even though they're going to talk about history, even though they're going to talk about art or maybe technology, it's not going to be very specific that you would find it difficult to understand. So don't worry, because in the end, you don't need to really understand the reading. You just need to find the answer inside the readings. Okay? And then task types, this one I will try to break down today. There are many different types of questions that you are going to answer. Same with the listening from last time. Okay, next is how they score your readings. It's more or less similar with listening part. They count your score based on the total of correct answers. Like this one, this is our acceptable range, okay, around 6 to 7. This is the standard. If below that, if below 6, you're going to maybe, if you score below 6, maybe you're going to need to have additional course, English course, before you will be eligible to enter the program or the university. But generally, they accept 6.5 to 7. In LPDP, they usually ask you for the minimum of 6.5. That's for the scholarship. But for the university, usually it's 6.5 or 7. So if you want to get 6.5 score, you have to be at least answering 27 correct answers. That's the minimum. And also for you to get 7, you have to at least answer 30 correct answers and only 10 questions wrong. Okay? So if you want to practice independently, you have to always look at this table. Like, for example, you try to work on a full reading Ielts test, which means that you're going to have 3 types of readings, and then you time yourself for 1 hour. You have your own stopwatch, okay? And after you finish that, you look for the answer keys, and then you do a correction or evaluation yourself, and then you check your score here. You can check it yourself. The kind of Ielts test that you cannot practice by yourself is actually writing and speaking. Because if you want to check whether your writing is good enough or your speaking is good enough, you need to have your teacher to, evaluate you. Okay. So for listening and reading, you can look at these tables to count how many questions that you are correct, and then to calculate what score you're going to get if you do the real test. Okay, so this is the band score. I already explained to you last time about band score, right? Band score is the score that you get for each part of test. Band score for listening, band score for reading, band score for writing, and band score for speaking. And the overall score is the average of all those band scores. Right? Okay, next, let's move on to the question types. Actually, I already sent this one, these files to Fala, I guess. Maybe you read it, maybe not. I'm just gonna try to explain to you. Here I write listening, but it actually works for reading also. Okay, so there are questions about matching answers. Okay, wait a second. Let me look for the one that actually says reading here in my files. IELTS reading types, I guess. Okay. So this one is IELTS reading question types. First type of question is about matching headings. Matching headings means that, let's look at the sample. Okay, so this is the reading, paragraph A, B, C, D, etc. They usually number the paragraphs or give letters before the paragraph, like to explain to you the identity of each paragraph, like where you can find the answer. Okay, so this is the question. The question 1 to 8. Remember to always read the directions before you work on the questions to know the type of the questions and to avoid mistaking the questions and how to answer it. Okay, the text has 8 paragraphs from A to H. Which paragraph contains the following information? Write the correct letter A to H in boxes 1 to 8 on your answer sheet. Okay, so this is matching headings. Headings is what do we call it in Indonesia? Ide pokok mungkin ya in Indonesian. So for example, number 1, examples of customization. Example of customization. How to answer this kind of question? You have to look at the keywords. Okay, so there are only 3 words here in number 1, examples, and then of, and then customization. The word that cannot be keyword here is of course, because of is a very general word and it's just a conjunct. The function is to join words, so it has no personal meaning to it. The keywords here are examples and then customization. So to answer this question, you have to find which paragraph has the word customization. Okay? Right. I accidentally found it in paragraph D. So to find it, you have to actually skim from the first paragraph to find the word customization. Okay? So you scroll, you read quickly, and then you stop at D. There is the word customizable. Customizable and customization are similar, so you are close to the answer. And then you find customization here. Customization might finally have come of age. So probably the answer is in paragraph D. So if you read the next sentence, 2 examples were. Okay? So look at the topmost of the screen. Customization may finally have come of age. 2 examples were. So 2 examples of customization is what this sentence means. So the example of customization is in paragraph D. Okay, let's show the hint. There, the correct answer is D, because in paragraph D we can see that the author is talking about customization and the variation of the word form. Variasi dari bentuk kalimatnya. Customization, customizable. Okay, so that's how you found the answer for matching headings question. Keywordnya, keyword is the key. And then number 2, unusual keepsakes. Okay, so the keywords here are unusual and keepsakes. So same like this one, you scroll through the paragraph to find the keywords. The difference is that you are going to do this manually. Usually, if you are doing this on computer, you just click Control and F, right? Control find, and then you type the words. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to do that in IELTS test. Okay, so that's just the example on how to answer it. Okay, how to answer it? First, read the headings before you read the passage. Okay, you have to get to know to all of those headings. So where is it? Wait, let's go back to the paragraphs. What you have to read is not paragraph A to H because it's very long, right? There's so many paragraphs. But what you need to read are these questions. You have to get to know it. You have to understand what each of them mean. Okay, so this one are the ones that you need to read instead of the paragraphs. The paragraphs is just where you pick the answers. Okay? Fungsi paragraf adalah di mana kalian memilih lokasi jawabannya. Okay. There are often more headings than you need, meaning that they give you probably around, let's say, 10 headings, but the answer are only going to be 7. Okay, so you don't have to uh, put all of the headings into the questions to answer it. Like, for example, the paragraphs, there are how many paragraphs? E, F, G, H. There are 8 paragraphs there. But the questions are only, let's say, 5 questions. You don't have to fill all of the paragraphs into the questions. Jadi, paragrafnya ada 8. Yang diminta jawabannya adalah 5 pertanyaan. Gak semuanya harus dimasukkan. Alright? Gak semua paragraf itu harus jadi jawaban. Jadi ada paragraf yang cuman untuk pelengkap saja. Alright, next. Analyze the headings before trying to match them to section of paragraphs, meaning that you have to know what that heading means. You have to know which part of it that's going to be the keywords. And then answers are often numerals, like numbers, Roman numerals, or maybe general numbers. But you have to read the instruction carefully to check. And then answers do not come in order. Maksudnya adalah answers do not come in order. Here, if this is in question number 1, the answers is not going to be paragraph A. Dia loncat-loncat. And then we have question number 2. It doesn't mean that the answer is going to be in paragraph after D. So question number 1, maybe the answer is paragraph D. Question number 2 is B, maybe. And then question number 3, it's F. Okay? So it's not in order of the paragraph. Tidak berurutan. Why we need to care about this? Because some questions have answers in order. Okay? Jadi the first one that we learn is matching headings. You match the number of the paragraph with headings atau ide pokok in question. Next one is question about true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given. Maksud dari pertanyaan ini adalah there will be a statement, and then based on the reading, you guess if the statement is true based on the reading, is it false, or is it not given, meaning that it is not talked about in the paragraphs. So before we get to the strategy, let's look at the type of the questions. All right, so this is the paragraphs. There are only, this is just examples, so it's not representing the real test. Usually in the real test, there are more paragraphs than this one. Okay, so always read the directions. This is the directions. Do the following statements. Agree with the information given in reading passage. In boxes 1 to 5, choose true if the statement agrees with the information, false if the statement contradicts the information, not given if there is no information on this. Okay. So the example, let's try to work on number 1. Africa had the warmest July day ever on July 1st. We have to check in the reading Is July the hottest in Africa? Before we answer, let's look at the strategy. Okay. First, you have to read the first passage. Look up for answer for the first few questions. If you found an answer, read the whole sentence carefully and only then answer the question. When there are no answers left, move on to the next paragraph and repeat this strategy. Meaning that in simple words, kerjakannya berurutan. Okay, in order. So the answer is going to be in order. Pay attention to the subject in the sentence for false or not given answers. Usually people get a wrong answer on this one because they cannot tell the difference between false and not given. Kalau true, gampang ya. Oh, jelas dia tertulis di paragraf. Kalau false sama not given itu biasanya orang bingung. Dikatakan false kalau dia berkontradiksi. For example, the question is, the apple is red. The color of the apple is red. Itu pertanyaannya. Di paragraf, the color of the apple is green. So, it is false. Not given itu seperti apa? In questions, the color of the apple is red. In the paragraph, the apple is delicious. So in the paragraph, they're not talking about the colors of the apples, it's talking about the taste of the apple. So it's not given. Okay, that is the simple way for you to tell the difference between which is false and which is not given. Okay. And the tips, this type of question needs attention to details. Don't just look for keywords. Read the whole question and the whole sentence with answers. Maksudnya adalah kita harus lihat subjeknya siapa, tema pembicaraannya apa, the theme of what they're talking about, and then the object, okay? Because it will be able to tell you the difference between false and not given question. Wait a second. And then point number 2, watch for the words like often, always, never, and also some. For example, for the questions, if the question say, I often go to Indralaya. That's the statement. And then in the paragraph, they write, I always go to Indralaya. See, they are different, but similar. Often, sering. Always, selalu. So, the answer is not true. The statement is false because in the writing, in the paragraph, they say always. Selalu, always, often, sering. Gitu ya. Jadi, be careful of these words because it can completely change the meaning of the questions. And then the next point, the order of questions can help you. Answer for question 4 will be between answer for question 3 and 5 in the text. Meaning that if you are answering certain questions, let's say question number 1, let's work on this. Africa had the warmest July day ever on July 1st. Afrika memiliki hari di bulan Juli yang paling panas pada tanggal 1. Okay, so let's see July in Africa. According to the Met Office, UK had its warmest July day ever on July 1st. It is in UK. Africa is just where they talk about the second warmest July. Okay, so on July 1st, Africa has the second warmest July on the record. So with that information, okay, The first paragraph tells us that the July 1st was the hottest day in UK and some other countries, and Africa has the second warmest July. So is it false or is it not given? Let's check. There. So it's false because they are talking about the hottest day. So they are talking about the same topic. However, Africa had the second warmest, meaning that not the warmest. That's why the answer is false. Gitu. And then for question number 2, they're talking about the temperature. Temperature is rising due to the increase, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So based on the rule of how to answer this, the answer is not going to be in paragraph 1, but it can be in paragraph 2. Although it is possible that the answer is going to be in paragraph 1. However, it is not possible for question number 5 to get the answer in paragraph 1. Jadi dia berurutan. Misalnya pertanyaan nomor 1 mungkin jawabannya di paragraf 1, 2 gitu ya. Pertanyaan nomor 2 setelahnya. Pertanyaan nomor 3 setelahnya. Pertanyaan nomor 4 tidak mungkin naik ke atas paragrafnya. Okay? So they make it easy for you to make it in order. Right. The last one, if you cannot find answer for some questions, do not spend too much time on it and return to it in the end. Probably this information is just not given in the test. So don't stuck in the same question for a long time because you have many other questions to answer. Okay? Don't linger on one question. The next one is matching paragraph information. Matching paragraph information, let's look at this sample first, but I write this not in order. Matching paragraph is similar with matching headings. Very similar. Okay, these are the paragraphs with identity beside it. Paragraph A, paragraph B, paragraph C, and etc. And then the question, very similar like that one, right? And how to answer it is also similar. So I don't need to explain about this anymore. Same tips also. So look through the list of headings. You don't have to read the reading. You have to just look through the list of headings. You have to know what's the meaning of every single words. And then read the first paragraph. Don't pay too much attention to detail, right? This is the key. Don't pay much attention to details. Just get the general idea of it. Read the headings list attentively and choose the best match. If you don't see a match, move on to the next paragraph. So it's a skim reading kind of thing. Jadi kalian harus punya skill skim reading, juga kalian harus punya mata yang jeli. Okay? You have to be quick and you have to be able to find the words that has the same meaning and that has the same topic with the question. If you are not sure or unsure about the right match, and you think you have 2 candidates for answer, right? Write down all possible answers. Don't guess yet. Maybe some of your choices will be crossed out later. Gitu. Jadi cara ngerjainnya tuh ya sama aja kayak ngerjain milih jawaban gitu. For example, for number 1 you answer A and D. Number 2 you got D. So between these two, which one is the closest to D? Oh, 2 is D. So the answer for number 1 is A then. Gitu ya. Jadi kalau belum yakin, skip ke pertanyaan selanjutnya. Tapi tetap ditandain di kertas soalnya opsi jawaban kalian. Kayak gitu. Just like any other exams. That way you can find the answer easily. Same like the first one. Sorry, this one is true false. Don't waste too much time on one paragraph. You can skip it and come back later. Try all the headings for each paragraph, even if you already use some of the headings. It's better to double check. Artinya, walaupun heading itu sudah kalian jawab untuk pertanyaan sebelumnya, for the previous question, you can still try to match it with another question. So in the end, you will find which will be the best match. And next, if you see some unfamiliar words in the text, you don't have to worry, because in this section, you should just get the main idea of each paragraph, and you can do it without knowing all the words. Okay, so in your effort, dalam usaha kalian, to look through the list of headings and then to understand the meaning of each headings, you have to understand the general meanings. You don't have to understand every single word, as long as you understand the general idea. Okay, and then the answer is same with this one. It's not in order. Right. Let's move on to the fourth, summary completion. This one is quite fun and easy, because you usually just need to write 1 to 2 words to complete the blanks. For example, let's look at the questions. Okay. This is the paragraphs. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Because this is just example, they only give you short readings. Right. Kalian fokus ke at the start of 20th century, blah blah blah, and then sampai di bawahnya. This is done by Pickling. Usually they don't give you options like A, B, C until J. You just have to fill the blanks with the words that you find in the readings. Jadi lengkapi titik-titik ini dengan kata-kata yang ada di reading. Okay, let's try to answer number 1. At the start of the 20th century, Dr. Eli Mechnikov put forward his belief that the blah 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 and good health of Bulgarian blah blah blah. You don't have to read all of this. Okay, so the keywords that you need to find are 20th century, Eli Mechnikov. Which paragraph talking about Eli? Second paragraph. Okay, second paragraph, Eli Mechnikov said that one of the first scientists to recognize the benefits of eating fermented food. He believed the daily ingestion of yogurt was a major contribution to their superior health and longevity. Okay. Superior health and longevity. Kalau dilihat, it's pretty hard to see both of them all together. Okay, so pay attention to the last sentence of the second paragraph, where Eli Mechnikov was. Okay, he believed that the daily ingestion of yogurt is fermented food, right? And then major contribution to superior health and longevity. Di sini, Dr. Eli Mechnikov put forward his belief that the blah 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 and good health of Bulgarian could be attributed to eating fermented food. Jadi dibalik kalimatnya dari yang di sini. Kalau di sini superior health and longevity, superior health bisa diganti, you can replace it with good health. It has similar meaning, even though the words, the adjective that they use are different. Good and superior. So the answer for number 1 is longevity. Okay, so that's how you find the answer, which is by finding the keywords in the reading. Right. This one, it is in order. Okay, so you can find the answer for the next question below paragraph 2. I'm going to send you this file later on, and you can try to practice it yourself. Okay, so the tips. First, identify the type of words needed for each gap. you can guess what type of word is going to be there. Whether it's noun, is it verb, is it adjectives, is it a person's name? You can guess. And then the second, locate the information in the passage in order to choose the right words. How to locate information, which is by using keywords. The third one, if you choose words from the passage, check how many words can be used for each answers. Okay, you have to check. If they ask you for only one word, try to find a way and in the paragraph which one will be suitable for that answer. And then the answer usually come in order. And then the last one, the summary must be grammatically correct, which can help you in choosing the right word for the gap. Jadi disesuaikan dengan grammarnya, apakah cocok atau tidak. Is it suitable for it or not? Right, that's summary completion. It's fun to work on. Next is sentence completion, similar with summary completion. Difference just this one is just sentences, separate sentences. This one is the reading. The reading is about panda. I like this one. Okay, so it's not in paragraph, but in separate sentences. Let's try to answer number one. Mei Xiang pregnancy was discovered within blah 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 last week. Kehamilan Mei Xiang ditemukan dengan blah 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 minggu lalu. Okay, so let's find which in the paragraph they talk about Mei Xiang pregnancy. Because it's in order, we have to look from paragraph 1. Keepers at Smithsonian National Zoo in Washington, D.C. only discovered Mei Xiang was pregnant during an ultrasound scan last week. So the answer can be ultrasound scan. Okay, because in the direction they told you to write no more than 3 words, so you can write 2 words. So because in the reading we found that it's ultrasound scan, the answer is going to be ultrasound scan in the blanks. Okay, it's easier than completing the paragraph. And the way to answer it is also similar. The direction also similar, so we don't have to read all of this, okay? So it's also in order. Next, multiple choice questions. Well, it's just the same with how you answer multiple choice questions everywhere. Scan text for the keywords and their synonyms. Like I told you last week, keywords and the reading, they're not always the same. It can be different words with the same or similar meaning, okay? And cross out the answer which are obviously wrong. Jadi eliminasi pilihan jawaban yang jelas-jelas salah. This will help you identify correct answer quickly. And then the third one, the order of questions can help you. Which means that this one is going to be in order. Sorry, I forgot to write it. In order. And the last one, don't rely on your own knowledge. The correct answer contains only information stated in the text. Jadi jawabannya itu selalu ada di teks. The answer is always going to be in the text. You don't have to conclude it yourself. Let's look at the sample questions. Here's about the worst month for air disaster. Okay, let's try question number 1. When did the 720 travelers die? When we talk about when, the answer must be about time or year in the reading. So we have to find it here. And also 720, number of people. Okay. So they say 3 decades ago, 720 travelers and crew lost their lives. Losing life has the same meaning with die, right? And 3 decades. 1 decade is 10 years. So 3 decades is 30 years ago. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Oh, yeah, I was right. So it is explained here that answer A is incorrect because 13 decades mean 130 years because one decade is 30 years, etc. Answer B is incorrect and D is incorrect, and then the answer is 3 years, of course. That's quite surprising. Okay, so you can answer this question, the rest of the question yourself. The answer is going to be also in order. Next, choosing a title. This one is a bit, similar with matching headings and matching paragraphs. Let's try to look at the example. Okay, this is the reading. Read the following passage and choose the best title for the list below. Okay, so here are paragraphs, like two of them only. Future Shock is a book written by futurist Alvin Toffler and blah blah blah. Toffler argued that society is undergoing enormous structural change. So based on these readings, you have to skim reading also, and you guess basically what are they talking about here. Okay. For example, if the answer is a shocking vision of the future, then the text must be talking about future specifically. However, I think they are talking about the book Future Shock. If they are talking about C, the career of the futurist Alvin Toffler, then the paragraph is going to talk about how Alvin started his career, what kind of books that he writes, and how many books he has written, etc. So it's specifically about his career, but this one is not. And then point D, a changing society, or B, what is future shock? You have to try to answer this yourself. There are options here. They say they're talking about B, what is future shock? It's the most possible answer because it is mentioned in the first paragraph. Future shock is a book written by the futurist. In the book, Toffler defined the term future shock as certain psychological state of individual. So from the first paragraph itself, we can already tell that they are going to talk and explain about what future shock means, right? So the most possible answer is going to be future shock, B. All right, let's go back. The tips to answer these kind of questions. Look at the differences between the possible titles, like what we just did earlier. Look at the differences. And then how you guess what kind of things that you are going to read based on the title. Second, pay attention to the opening paragraph and closing paragraph. Okay, so this is very important. You have to pay attention to the opening and to the closing. Why? Because that's going to be where the main idea is going to be. And main idea usually related to title, the possible title. I'm saying related, which means that it's not exactly the title. Dan jadi dia tidak selalu pasti judulnya. Bisa saja dia berkaitan dengan judulnya, yang paling berkaitan. Okay, and then the last one, don't spend too much time on this question. It's only worth 1 point. So, in overall of the test, there's only one question for this. Okay, so don't sweat it. Don't worry about it too much. Next, list selection. Okay, this is similar with headings. classification. How to answer classification question in IELTS reading? Classification going to be, I'm going to give you the example. Okay. So, classify the following statements as referring to. So there are groups of people, three different people. There's Matthew, there's Rafi, there's Paul and Twain. You have to decide which of these sentences appropriate with the person. Okay, so the reading is not here. So this is just as a visualization on what and how you should answer this. Let's say that there is a text that you have to read, and you have to guess whether statement number 1, there are 3 main behavioral feature incident to sleep. Which of the 3 person talk about it in the reading? And then number 2, the idea that we sleep because we have nothing else to do is absurd. Who said this? Who has this information? Is it Matthew? Is it Rafi? Or is it Paul? Okay, so how to answer it? You just put the letter beside each statement. So if statement number 1, there are 3 main behavioral features, is told by Matthew, then for number 1, your answer should be, you should write A there. Number 2, if the one who said it is Paul, and then number 2, you have to write C, and so on. Gitu ya. Okay, so you match them into group. Just like the visual here, 1 strawberry belongs to C. So the answer for strawberry question is C. Like that. How to answer it? Number 1, look at the given options. Given options maksudnya yang 3 daftar nama tadi. Okay? Option, the classification, and then the question is going to be 1, 2 through 5, and so on. Skim over the text to get its general idea and see where each option is described. It may be useful to underline the options in the text, so it will be easier for you to find them later. Okay. So you have to identify in the reading later on in the text. Okay. Sometimes, let's say A is in paragraph 5. So everything that A said is in paragraph 5. Everything that B said is going to be in paragraph 7. Everything that C said is going to be in paragraph, let's say paragraph 1 and 2. Okay, so you just have to find the statement, like question number 1, in which paragraph it's going to be. Turns out it is in paragraph 1, so the answer for number 1 is C. Gitu. And then attentively read all the information that relates to the option A and so on. Read the statement. If the statement corresponds to what you just read, then classify it as A. Okay. Tips ini kalimatnya panjang. It's a long sentence, but I already explained to you through visuals and simpler way to look at it. And also from the samples that we saw earlier. Okay. Right. The next is going to be matching sentence ending. How many of this? We still have a lot of them. Okay, we're going to look at it quickly, okay? Classification, the last one. And then next, matching sentence ending. Let's look at the example. It is in order to answer it. Okay, this is the text. Okay, so it will be like, okay, so it's like similar with almost like multiple choice, almost like matching headings. So you match from this list which one fits the questions based on the one that you found on the text. Okay, you can practice it yourself. And also, in the direction, they say that complete the sentences by selecting the correct ending, A to G. Not all letters will be used. So there are only 5 questions. And then the options you're going to have, there are 7 of them. Okay, so you're not going to use all of them. 2 of them will not be the answer. You match them. You can try to work on it yourself. And as for the tips, actually, in general, the main tips is always pay attention to keywords and its synonyms. That is tips for all kind of questions in Ielts. If you follow this kind of tips, you can follow these tips. However, each person have different ways to answer, you know, right? Because we have different ways to solve problem. So don't always rely on this. Try to work on it with your own style or your own way. And the solution to that is by doing the practice yourself. Jadi kalian harus latihan sendiri. Praktekkan sendiri biar tahu, oh ternyata cara ini ngerjakannya gampang. Gitu. And then you compare it with these tips. If this suits you, then it's good. If it's not, then you can try to use your own way. Okay, so these are not mandatory. Ini tidak wajib. Matching sentence endings is also in order. Next, table completion. When we're talking about table, it's similar with sentence completion. The difference is just that it's in the shape of table. The tips are similar with sentence completion. Let's look at the type of question. The example. Okay, so these are the readings, the text. Here's the table that you have to complete. Okay, like for example, number 1. In this table, we can tell that for number 1, it belongs to the group of compound bilinguals. Okay, speak at least blah 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 language. Berarti dia ada di paragraf yang bicara tentang compound, bilingual, and then spoken language. Which one is compound bilinguals? Okay, so here it is. Compound bilinguals, these are people who use 2 or more languages from their birth and as a result have several linguistic codes simultaneously. So it means that they have to be able to know at least two. Okay. The directions say choose no more than 4 words, and our answer is in only 1 word. So compound bilinguals speak at least 2 languages. That's how to answer it. And then spoke both languages. Tadi dia bilang apa tuh? Have several linguistic codes simultaneously. Spoke both languages simultaneously. Oh, from birth. That's how sometimes you just have to look at the question carefully. These are people who use 2 or more languages from their birth and as a result have several linguistic codes. Okay. When we're talking about spoke it and simultaneously is linguistic codes. So that's where I got the answer wrong. Okay, you can try to work on number 3, 4, 5 and try to see if you got it right. Right? Okay. How to work on it? Similar with the paragraph completion or sentence completions. Read the column headings in the table, identify the type of words. Identify means that you have to answer whether it is noun, whether it is verb, whether it is adjective, and etc. And scan the passage for information. answer often located in a specific part of the passage. Check how many words you can use for the answers. Tadi, let's open it again. Okay. Right? Here, compound bilingual speak at least blah 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 languages. So that means you have to answer it with number. And then for number 2, it is a bit distracting and very general, so not specific. So you can get it wrong like I did earlier. Spoke both languages. They're not telling you is it time or is it how they do it, right? So you can get it wrong. But don't worry about it because it's only 1 out of 5. So there is a possibility that you're going to answer it correctly for the 4 other questions and only got 1 wrong. Okay, so focus on answering the next questions if you were wrong on the first one. Next, we're talking about flowchart completion. It is also similar with table completion. The shape is what's different. Bentuknya, kalau flowchart, let's look at the example. Okay, it's talking about the life cycle of salmon. We pronounce it as salmon. We don't read the L. This one is vocabulary matching. Okay. Flowchart question is this one. You can try to follow these tips. Step 1 through 4. Decide what the purpose of the flowchart. For example, does it ask question or show the stages in process? Kita tebak flowchartnya itu ngomongin tentang apa, temanya. And then step 2, check the instruction carefully. Should you use words? Should you use letters or numbers? Okay. Step 3, study the words that are given. Step 4, make sure that the sentence flowchart are grammatically accurate. So when we look at this flowchart, it's talking about the life cycle of the fish, the salmon fish. The direction is write no more than 3 words from the text per answer. So A, the female creates a blah 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 in the gravel of a stream bed. A itu yang di sini. Okay. So based on this visualization, we try to look for the answers in the paragraph. The female lay what in the seabed? Okay. Salmon eggs are laid in freshwater streams, typically at high latitudes. To lay her roe or eggs, the female salmon uses her tail to create a nest called a redd in the gravel of the riverbed. So here, the females create a blah 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 in the gravel of a stream bed. So based on the paragraph, I think the answer is create a nest or redd. But usually the answer is the first word, which is the nest. Let's try to show the answer. Yeah. So the answer can be either redd or nest. Okay, tapi kalau kalian mau ngerjain sendiri, if you want to practice, please don't show first, okay? Please try to answer and then you try to get score. Right, that's for flowchart completion. Diagram completion, they're not always in order, Diagram is like this. Okay, it's also picture. The strategies to answer, read the text, underline the new term or important names or keywords. Look at the diagram and think which part of it you can label. Check your assumption by looking back at underlined terms. If there are some unlabeled parts left, check the diagram for keywords. Okay. Tips, always underline the new term. The keywords in the diagram might help you to complete it. So the key to answering reading questions, always something related to keywords. Okay, they're talking about leaves structure. We label the diagram based on the information here. Like for example, part number 1, let's look up here. One of the most important part of a organ of a tree is leaf. The leaves are order, okay. The blade is the broad flat part of the leaf. And then if you look closer at the leaves, you will notice network of thin threads. Thin tipis, threads itu kayak it's like benang gitu. Those networks are called veins. Okay, based on what you read here, you can guess which one is veins, which one is midrib, which one is petiole, which one is the blade. Okay, based on that definition, try to answer question from 1 to 4, and afterward you can check. And then you can read the explanation. You can do the practice independently because we're not going to spend too much time there. And as for short answers, it's similar to sentence completion. It's in order. Okay, this is the reading. Yeah. Okay, question number 1. Always read the direction. Write exactly 2 words or a number. Artinya, tidak boleh kurang dari 2 kata atau 1 angka. Okay, exactly 2 words, bukan no more than 2 words. Question number 1. What is the number of children that the New England Journal of Medicine studied? The number of children. When we're talking the number of children, it's going to be, of course, number, right? So we look at from the first paragraph. Okay. The New England Journal of Medicine study looked at what 550 children. 550. Because the directions say exactly 2 words or a number, then the answer is a number, which is 550. And so on. You can practice it yourself. Okay. So that's it. So those are all the types of questions in Ielts reading. Right? Let me go back to the Zoom. Okay. So that's it for the types of questions for Ielts reading. If you want to practice after this one, I will send you the example of a full Ielts reading test through Fala. I will send it to her. You can look at these questions. You don't have to answer all of them. If you have the time, you can practice it. If you don't, you can just be familiar with all those questions and the paragraphs, the types of questions also. Okay, so I think that's it for my explanation for today. I have to give this back to our moderator. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Poppy, for the material and explanation. It is so great and help us to learn more about IELTS. And so now we are moving to question and answer session. For all of you who wanted to ask Ms. Poppy about our class today, feel free to unmute yourself or just drop your question in chat box. Okay, everybody who wants to ask? Anyone?
Maybe you just have to give them a time limit to give questions. No questions, I guess.
Okay, okay, everybody. For all of you wanted to ask Miss Poppy about our class today. Anyone?
Yeah, maybe just wrap it up, and I don't think anyone's asking a question.
Okay, Miss. I think it seems that no one else want to ask.
All right, then I think that's the end of our meeting for this afternoon.
Okay, Miss Poppy. So thank you for all of the audience and to Miss Poppy. And now I will share the attendance today. So now please fill the attendance in link that I've shared in chat box. And don't forget to screenshot our meeting to prove that you have joined the class. And that is our class today again. And I would say thank you so much for Miss Poppy for the material and explanation. And thank you for all of member of ELC that already attending our meeting today.
Thank you, everyone. So I think I can leave the Zoom now.
Thank you, Miss Poppy.
Okay, thank you, Miss Poppy.
Yeah, you're welcome, everyone. I'm going to see you for the next meeting. We're going to talk about writing and speaking, right?
All right,
Okay.
Miss.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Assalamualaikum.
Bye. Waalaikumsalam, Miss.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the participant. That's all for today. Good evening, everyone. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you for the next meeting.
Sorry, I didn't have attendance link in the chat box.